The exhibition image to be projected until it vanishes comes in my, let's say, curatorial autobiography after a series of thematic exhibitions. What unites all these thematic exhibitions that preceded this show is the presence of one work. That work is Image of Absalom, to be projected until it vanishes, by the American artist Matthew Buckingham. In two of those exhibitions, the work was physically present. In the third, it was reproduced in the publication that accompanied the exhibition. Here it inspires the title of the show, and it functions as a mental model for how the show was put together. I think Matthew Buckingham's wonderfully laconic reflection on obsolescence, on disappearance, a poetics of visibility and invisibility is what influences the subjective structure of this exhibition. All the works gathered here oscillate between presence and absence encouraging each other into existence, presence becoming absence, and vice versa. It's a play of fade-ins and fade-outs. Maybe an abstract film is composed by the groupings that I've tried to compose here and by the ways in which the works respond to each other. They engage various themes, but these themes are never directly anchored to a specific geography, even if most of the artists come from Romania or from the East. There are exceptions and there are no rules.
This work is called Hot Air, and it comes really, it's a kind of accidental encounter of things that I pretty much had around me at that time, both in terms of the technology, the old projectors and the kitchen stools which were lying about the studio and the screen, and in terms of a kind of artistic inspiration and various cultural sources that I was kind of thinking about and looking at. I don't like to think of it as a kind of metaphor too much, but if it is a metaphor for anything, it is in the first place a metaphor for the cinema, which for me is in the first instance, before it is anything else, the rectangle of the projected light, in the passage of which there is some kind of an obstruction. So, you know, the experience of the cinema is a kind of experience of an illusion caused by an object blocking a passage of light. On the sort of cultural references front, the work is inspired by the ideas of Marcel Brudars, from whom I have also borrowed the title for the work, Projet pour une idée, which is a kind of mistranslation of Brudars, and by Brudars' own sort of obsession with René Magritte, the pipe painting. This is not a pipe, so you know, I like the kind of idea that this is more of a pipe than it is an image of a projector. The work was originally made for my exhibition in Antwerp in 2007, where all these references would have been more intelligible than they are perhaps now. And eventually it was shown in a number of shows and ended up in a small solo show in Scotland, in Edinburgh at one point, when I felt that somehow the kind of complications of these culture references may be too much, and so I kind of added another reference in the shape of Joseph Kossuth's little homage to Joseph Kossuth, which comes from a found cigarette packet in Budapest.
I would like to particularly introduce two works that were especially commissioned by Museion for this exhibition. One of them is right here behind me. It's called I Relay the Horizontal of the Water, and it's been realized by the artist Miklós Onucsan. Another one in the background, closer to the entrance, is a book by a collective named Kilobase Bucharest. Miklós Onucsan's work is in a sense a key to the exhibition, because it brings together all the threads, all the conceptual threads that inform it and that it pursues. It looks like a segment cut out of the bottom of a dry lake. Why the lake has dried and whether this was a traumatic event, we will never know. But what we do know is that the absence of the water is patiently measured by an artist that seems to behave like a mad geographer, that composes this very rigorous and absurd map chart of absences, trying to bring into presence the other absence, the absence of the water, the absence of the horizontal of the water, and the absence or impossibility of the horizon, which this horizontal helped us imagine.
Questo è un lavoro che si chiama Elsewhere, altrove, ed è una scultura, un dispositivo in realtà più che una scultura, basata sulla nostra impossibilità di vedere e in qualche modo anche di rappresentare reale. Il telescopio è una sorta di protesi visiva che in qualche modo avvicina lo sguardo a un paesaggio spesso lontano, spesso irrappresentabile. Funziona in qualche modo come un gioco, una presa in giro della scultura, della pittura dal vero e di quest'idea, diciamo, di rappresentare la natura e di plasmarla. In questo caso la plastilina, che blocca il telescopio in un punto di vista unico e fisso, è un materiale che si adatta molto bene a questo concetto perché è un materiale che si può riplasmare in continuazione. La scultura vive una vita propria al di là della nostra volontà di fissarla in una forma, in quanto può essere reinstallata e cambiare quindi punto di vista, cambiare soggetto e cambiare di conseguenza anche forma diverse volte. Stiamo anche cercando di creare una serie di fotografie della vista e dell'oggetto che ne esce fuori in modo da dargli una propria entità, una propria vita.
So we decided to work on this project 2 years ago. After seeing some of these kids playing with this poplar fluff, burning it out, and it was kind of very immaterial in it kind of unexpected and very, very poetic. So we decided to work on this theme, and because it's somehow like a metaphor of the sparkle for revolution, for change. And so last year in the same time of the year we waited, and in a few weeks we came again and again, and we worked with some of the kids on that street. Some are living in a squat, some are from the poor area. I mean, it's a mix of. While working and filming, and also after that while editing, there were some other events in reality which happened, like the Roma evictions from Paris, or the recent revolutions that started in North Africa, which came out. I mean, it was like what was happening now. It was not so much like a reference to the past, like former revolutions or '89, but it was somehow like also talking about what is like now. I mean, what is the rite of spring now? Because it's very ritualistic. I mean, this thing, like this burning of this poplar fluff, it's happening every year actually.
Played here is a book entitled A to H, a project realized by Kilobase Bucharest, a collective initiated by Ioana Nemes and her associate Drago Șolea. It's a project for a fictitious gallery, bringing together existing or fictitious artists, and it's an attempt to measure the DNA of the city of Bucharest, its topographic, political, emotional idiosyncrasies. A kilobase is a unit to measure the DNA, so identity in a sense becomes measurable in this project. This is only the first volume and the first episode of a project that was going to go from A to Z. This will never happen, unfortunately, and this whole exhibition is dedicated to Ioana Nemes.